know that we've got the 5th of May in the diary? Yes. Do you know what we're doing? Yes, you're right. We're going to be going up to the Natural Dog Expo and we're hosting it. And that's why we're jumping on Zoom now to catch up with the organiser, Caroline Griffiths, to get the latest on who's going to be there at this year's Natural Dog Expo. I'm Anna Webb. Welcome to A Dog's Life. Caroline Griffiths, welcome back to A Dog's Life.
Hello, Anna. Oh, I'm so excited to be back here.
Oh, that's so good. Thank you. Well, gosh, I can't believe it's a year since we recorded a podcast about your first Natural Dog Expo event.
Yeah, it is. The event hadn't even happened for the first time then. So, I mean, it's happened now. And last year absolutely even blew me away. It was a total sensation. I just was absolutely glowing with gratitude at all the really amazing testimonials that were coming in about the event. And it really sealed my belief that this is absolutely needed. Guardians really need this.
And when you say guardians, obviously we're talking about dog owners here, you know, guardians of our pets. And you say they really need this. So why do they need it? Is it because people really want to maximize the longevity of their dogs' lives?
Absolutely. And I also think that there are limitations to the knowledge and the options and choices that you have within traditional vet care. It plays an immense role and a really pivotal role in the health of our pets, but it does understandably have some limitations. And most of the pet guardians that I meet, even with cats too, as you say, Anna, there's lots of people with cats that are interested in natural choices as well, and more integrative choices in vet care. And there is so much out there that sometimes to the lay person, it can seem a little bit overwhelming. So these kind of events really highlight where it is that you, as the guardian of your own dog or cat, should be heading. You know, you get to meet people who are within the industry. You meet holistic vets. You also, which is really, really important and sort of heart nourishing as well, meet lots of like-minded canine guardians. And when you make friends with those people, those tips and tricks and experiences that you share and the friendships that grow, they are another big supportive key in understanding where do you actually focus within the natural dog care world for your own dog as an individual, because it can really be quite overwhelming. So I think what these events bring are clarity, lots and lots of educative information as well, because the majority of the speakers are qualified vets or have been for decades, or researchers as well. That we have a wonderful microbiome researcher that has over 14 years worth of data on what actually happens when you feed certain types of food to your dog. So that obviously is invaluable information, but also the support and the communicative network that you end up with as a result of coming to these events. And I would say that when we launched this event, the second one, I would say about 50% of the people bought tickets on the day they launched. You know, they were like, we need to be there again.
Wow, that's such a compliment. So the people who are attending, because let's be clear, this is a conference, isn't it? That
it is
people,
a conference, yeah.
that people buy tickets for and then sit and then listen to key speakers. Now, who are these speakers this year? Because I know last year, I think I'm right in thinking, because I couldn't sadly get there last year, which I was so disappointed about because my cat Gremlin was, unbeknownst to me, totally at the time dying actually due to vets not spotting that he had actually been poisoned and didn't actually have diabetes, which, you know, is an interesting thing to say because I agree in terms of limitations with the conventional vet profession. And I think where we're at with dogs at the moment is in this pandemic fallout, which generally speaking is not looking awfully rosy. You know, rescue centres are the fullest they've ever been in, you know, in recent, you know, years. And what's interesting is that out of the 4.1 million dogs bought during the pandemic, They're guardians stroke owners. I do like to say owners, actually, because, you know, you are owners in a court of law. Basically, 36% of those, so that's a lot of dogs, had never had a dog before.
Mm.
So it's seen an overwhelmment in the conventional vet profession, which, because of Brexit mainly, there's not enough conventional vets really to service, if you like, all of the dogs that now live in this country, those that haven't sadly ended up in rescue already. So I think there is a real need at the moment for people to investigate more natural resources and
Yeah.
perhaps transfer their own values. Because I see in doing my nutrition consults that people who, you know, are aware of what you should eat as a human and eat their 5 a day and all the rest of it, they're far more likely, those humans, to understand the benefits of feeding a dog a fresh, functional diet, rather than those that perhaps aren't so much. They're a bit more into your takeaways and all the rest of it. So it's an interesting situation, I think, the world of dogs at the moment in the UK.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's become about questioning, hasn't it? So we've started to question our own diet for quite a long time. I mean, I can remember years back, Dr. Gillian McKeith, I used to love that show, You Are What You Eat. And yeah, so people started even back then to start to question their own dietary choices, their own health options. And then we kind of moved over to, okay, well, what about our children? And then, of course, for those of us that are dog owners, we went, okay, what about our dogs? So we kind of moved down to really understanding the different choices that are available and wanting to know more about it and wanting to be empowered to make our own decisions. And you need to gain knowledge and meet people and talk to holistic vets and hear them speak. And it's not just always about reading the books, is it? It's about that community that you get at events like this. And you definitely will go away from the Natural Dog Expo with much more clarity about the way forward for you and your dog as an individual.
Yes, and it's giving people choice. That's what I think is
Mm.
really, really important. And I think, you know, many people who come to me with, you know, really nasty health issues, you know, with their dog and, you know, or behavior issues. And I always weave in nutritional advice with a behavior consult, because for me, the two totally go hand in hand. Um,
Absolutely.
it's easier to train a healthy, happy, vibrant dog than it is the other way round. But yes, so who are the speakers?
This year, we've got 10 speakers involved in the Natural Dog Expo. I'm just absolutely thrilled about. I'm so excited. So, 4 of them will be live on the day, and that includes Dr. Brendan Clark and a biome researcher called Carol Hughes, who's a minefield of information. Literally could just do a day with Carol and you'd go away with so
Oh, I
much
know. I've got
information.
to interrupt you there because we've already recorded some
Oh, have
episodes with
you?
Carol.
Fantastic.
Yeah. In
So Carol
fact,
will be there
yeah,
presenting her research and her data. We've got
yeah.
Rita Hogan, who's a clinical canine herbalist, and she's flying over from the USA. She is literally, I would say, one of the best herbalists for dogs in the world. So we're flying her over because I just needed her in the room with everybody, really, to share her findings as well. We also have a specialist holistic vet in brachycephalic breeds. So like your Frenchies, your pugs, your boxers, Dr. Adele Fitzpatrick. She's going to be there on the day to talk about the health of those breeds, because they do seem to not only be popular and not only be super cute, but come with their whole other range of ailments that are very specific to those breeds. And there's many ways to work with those ailments in a veterinary but natural choice-based way. And there's literally so much you can do to support these breeds that just doesn't get discussed at the traditional vet care consults.
How
So
interesting. I
yeah, they're
love
the
this.
yeah, I know, it's amazing, isn't it? So really specific. Because having been in the industry myself for so many decades, I've kind of got an idea of where we're going and what people really want to know. So I've tried to bring that to everybody as part of the expo, because my aim behind this is to help the dogs. So if we don't
Exactly.
have people there that are going to empower the dog guardians or the dog owners, then the dogs aren't going to change. So yeah, really doing this from my heart for the dogs.
Oh, it's so good, Caroline. No, I know. Look, we've known each other for a long time. About 20 years. So it's so great that because you're pretty good at organizing an event. I will say that.
Thank you.
Yes.
I do enjoy it. I think that helps.
Yes, well, of course, it's great to enjoy what you do. But what's interesting about this, so there's going to be lots of key speakers, and already really, I think, hit on something huge, which is brachycephalic breeds,
Mm,
because despite all of the education that I do believe is correct, that the welfare organizations are putting out there, people are still buying them and people are breeding them, and they are a breed that will be bred by the unscrupulous, which of course now we've seen post-pandemic. Another part of this fallout that I've written about a lot lately is that it's now been normalized for people to buy dogs on the internet, and people that buy and sell dogs on the internet, it's not a responsible breeder. It's not a breeder that cares about the progeny that she's bred. It's people who are breeding for greed. And that's the other thing. So many new dog owners don't understand that it's not normal to
mm,
buy a dog like you'd buy a vacuum cleaner, because it's getting more. And of course, the
mm.
lockdowns
Mhm.
really, created this, or made it be the only way you could get a dog during the pandemic, of course. So, but it's carried on, unfortunately.
Well, I think what it's done is it's sort of digitalized everything, and it's as if it's actually more convenient. The belief is that it's more convenient to find a dog online and purchase, and I mean, potentially not even meet until you collect it or it's delivered to you. But ultimately, it doesn't lead to long-term convenience, does it? It's just that short-term ease of perhaps not having to drive to a breeder or research a breeder. um, the belief of convenience is not quite the same when the dog isn't going to live for as long and it is poorly at a younger age, and has all these different things that go wrong, if you like.
Yeah, no, I know. And that's why I feel your event, you see, is so important. I think it is so about helping people at the moment
Mm.
not make these mistakes and raising awareness. But I do worry about this online situation. I know I'm not the only one, and but rather
Well,
than
I think, Anna, it's discernment, isn't it? And events like this help, I hope, empower people to have that discernment.
yes, I love that word, discernment. That's an excellent word. It's going to be my word of the day, actually.
The discerning canine owner.
Yes, that are full of discernment because they attended the Natural Dog Expo.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, also we do have all the online lectures as well. So there's 6 other online lectures. So even if people can't make the day itself, although I honestly encourage people to, because it's just such a high vibration, fantastically fun event. So we do have Dr. Sue Armstrong talking
Mm.
as an
I love
online
Sue.
lecture.
I love Sue,
Fantastic.
homeopathy.
Yes,
Mm.
she's going to be talking about inflammation and
Mm.
preventing inflammation. We have Cam, the dog nutritionist. We have Dr. Tom Lonsdale, who's going to be talking about raw meaty bones. We have another USA speaker, Angela Ardolino, who's going to be talking about medicinal mushrooms for dogs, which is another interesting
Oh, I
new
love it.
supplement.
No, I'm
Um,
mad about mushrooms, Caroline.
they're great. I know. It's
Yeah,
really interesting.
I
Loads
know.
of science behind them, actually.
Well, there
Loads.
really is, particularly like cordyceps,
Yep.
is a Tibetan mushroom, and that has been analyzed, and studies have gone out on its
Mhm.
anti-carcinogenic properties. So that's a mushroom I've dipped into quite a bit. And Mr. Binks is on a really amazing tincture from a brand called the Bristol Fungarium,
I love
which
that name.
yeah, no, I've researched them actually, and through other people as well. And I do believe that's a really good source, because with all of these supplements, Caroline, would you agree that it is really all about sourcing, the minimally processed, the high quality, the genuine article? Because I know vets, for example, they always say, oh, don't go on the internet, don't research anything on the internet. And I can see on the one hand why, because, you put in something like turmeric or something, and you are just blown away with
Yeah.
so many
Yeah.
brands. And you just think, well, which one's any good? Do I just buy the most expensive one, or is there more to it? And of course, and I know there's a lot more to it. it is a little shout out actually for the Bristol Fungarium as being a really interesting resource for tinctures.
Mm.
Mm.
Do they just do mushrooms, or do they do other? Is it? I mean,
Just
I'm just
mushrooms,
naming
just
mushrooms. Yeah.
mushrooms at the moment. Not that many. They do lion's mane, they do cordyceps, a couple of other ones. I
Reishi,
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't remember. I've just bought the
Turkey tail.
cordyceps because of its scientific proof, and
Mm.
that for Mr. Binks, and I'm taking it. And then I've also, and this is interesting because I think my my people listening might not agree, but I actually have noticed how my brain clarity is sharper at the moment. And
Mm.
I've been taking lion's mane from a
Mm.
different supplier. We won't promote everybody, but from a different supplier, but they're British and they absolutely maintain there's no fillers or anything in. They're quite
Yeah.
expensive. So, and lion's mane is actually known for cognitive function specifically. Yeah, interesting. I love mushrooms. That's going to be a really interesting talk. Who else is lined up?
Yeah, so the remaining two that are offering online lectures, a lovely lady called Pat White, who runs a canine sensory garden, which is I'm just amazed by this. It is so exciting. The dogs literally go in and they get to choose, self-select different plants or different sensory oils, that kind of thing. So they go into this sensory garden, and they, if they want to, there can be ingestion. So they might feel like they want to just chew on a leaf, or the dogs are basically left to choose the scents that they're attracted to. And Pat is actually going to be explaining, she's going to be in her garden. So it's going to be like watching Gardener's World, but for dog owners. And she's going to be in there showing how she created this garden and what it means for the dogs, and the overwhelming amount of dogs that have either transformed in behavior or certain types of ailments by attending her sensory garden, and how we can kind of create, even in on our windowsill, if you like,
Mm.
a version of that to support our dogs individually. So that's just lovely. I literally can't wait for that one.
Oh, I
um,
love that, Caroline. No, that's so brilliant. So I remember Dogs Trust made a big promotional campaign up at their main HQ in Harefield near London.
oh, did they?
Um,
Mm.
yes, they transformed sort of a bit of, dead field into a really amazing, undulating, very textured area so that dogs could feel different textures underfoot. Obviously, all herbs were used because of
Yeah, it's
the
all
one.
safe stuff, all
Yeah,
safe things. Yeah.
absolutely. No, it's great. No, I mean, I've done that quite a lot. I mean, I've got loads of big pots of herbs in my garden, and it's brilliant because it also helps the bees. So I do have quite a lot of
Mm.
bees in my garden and birds, which is great as well. So you can actually help the bigger picture with a garden that's actually really natural and full of plants that insects like, because then generally speaking, dogs will like it too, because nature kind of knows the right way.
Yes, yes. Hmm. Well, all
Mm,
the ecosystems fit together, don't they? So the herbs are really beneficial for the ground as well as the dog that's sniffing them, as well as the bees that are landing on them. Yeah.
exactly. No, exactly. No, it's great. And then who's the other one
Yeah.
on
The last online lecture, it's Vince the vet. Do you know Vince the vet?
Vince Vet? No, I've never met him in person, but I know of him.
Oh, he's
And
so much fun. He's really
yeah,
good.
he looks it. I must admit, he's got such a smiley face. This is good for me to know. Do you know this? Because
Oh, okay.
I'm actually hosting.
You are
So
hosting, although you won't need to talk about these speakers in particular because they're obviously online. But the other four, the live four, Dr. Brendan Clark, biome researcher Carol, clinical herbalist Rita were flying from the USA, and Dr. Adele Fitzpatrick talking about the Frenchies and the
mm.
other brachy breeds. But Vince very kindly is doing more than an hour's long Q&A session. So this is an opportunity. I mean, with all of them, whether live on the day or as part of the online lectures, you do get to ask questions, so specific questions about your dog. But Vince is dedicating that whole lecture time to questions. So it's just a perfect opportunity. I mean, where else do you literally just get that time to just go, okay, what do I do about this? What do I do about this? Where do we go with this?
No, that's so good. Do people have to put those questions
Yes,
in
yes,
advance?
they will. They will. Yeah, and because what I found, because as you know, I do nutrition consults myself. There's a lot of correlation. So it may be that you feel that your dog is an individual, and we will have all the questions in, but what tends to be found is a commonality. So when a question is answered for, say, Mrs. Jones and Monty, you'll find that it also suits Mrs. Smith and Bertie. So the answers will help everybody.
Oh, that's a good idea. No, that's great. So, what would the deadline be for people to supply their questions?
When the tickets are purchased for the Natural Dog Expo, the online lectures are part of that. So the online lectures will be happening in April. They're going to be happening in the first few weeks of April. So the questions will be sent forward prior to those lectures individually. So, I mean, even if it's sort of a day before, then Vince will have time to look at those. That's fine. He's going to dedicate that time to put those together. And once the tickets are purchased, you have emails sent out so that you will know when's your individual talk deadline.
Okay, gosh, it's so organized. That's great. So, how how can people buy tickets, or is it already sold out, Caroline?
Well, the VIPs have sold out. I'm quite surprised they've gone already. If you just head to the Natural Dog Expo website, you'll find the online ticket section of the website. And it's just one ticket and you get all 10 speakers.
Oh,
But
hang on a minute. So, is this actually online as well as being in real
yeah,
life?
that's what I mean. We've got the live speakers on the day, and then we've got 6 online lectures as well as part of the Natural Canine Expo. Yeah.
But on the day, there's only 4 lectures.
Yes, on the day you get to yeah, on the day you get to meet the 4
I'm so
and
thick.
everybody else that's there, all the other delegates, and then you get the 6 online lectures as well leading up to it. So even if you can't make the day, you can still be part of the expo.
Oh, I see. I didn't realize that. Was that the same last year?
No, we didn't have any online
I didn't
last
think
year.
so. Okay, so
No,
this
we
is a
didn't.
massive new development.
This is a new thing because there's so much wonderful information. And having been involved in this natural dog world for so long, I'm keen to get the information out there. So I thought, well, we literally can't fit any more in the schedule on that day, but I wanted a way to bring the information to everybody really to support the dogs. So this was one way that I felt that it might work. I mean, it may be that the online lectures don't happen next year. It's all sort of an experiment in terms of what gets through to the dogs, what
No,
really
but I think
works
it's a
for the
great idea.
dogs.
Absolutely. No, of course, this is all about the
Mm,
dogs,
mm.
and more for me as well. I hope actually, Caroline, I know we've had a little chat about this, about cats, because
Oh, absolutely.
absolutely.
Mm,
I mean,
mm.
the last 13 years, I've become really fond and just totally intrigued by cats. They've, and lately as well, because I've taken in bags of character, this cat that landed on my doorstep in a really bad way. And I'm so proud because I've restored him back to almost perfect health all by myself, which is great. And it shows how easy it is in a way if you're feeding them the right food, you've got the right understanding going on, then it's not as complicated as I think sometimes certain sectors, shall we say, make it out to be, really. I mean, put it this way, he just scoffs brilliant, raw, balanced, complete food, which makes me really think he was feral. He still has testicles, which are going to remain on, and as for his little physical issues, I'm delighted that I'm a qualified Fotizo practitioner. Now, this leads on to talking about some of the firms that are going to be there for the delegates in real life that get to Birmingham in real life. There's like a whole world of great shopping to be done.
We do have a small area. Yes, it's not an exhibition or a sales event intention. It is an educative conference based event, but we do have an area where we have the stands from all of the really supportive sponsors and speaker supporters. So we do have also some products there just to select also sort of maybe 10 or so other products that over the years I have seen be really transformative. So it's a little bit like me going, okay, what really works for dogs? I'm going to book them, because I have the experience of actually recommending and suggesting these products and seeing the differences that they make. So that's going to help with the whole discernment thing, definitely. If these guys are exhibiting at the conference, you can guarantee that there's a reason they're there.
Well, no, it's brilliant. Well, I know you're a fan of Fotizo, as
Oh
am
yes,
I.
absolutely, they're
Mm.
there. Yeah, absolutely.
No, I know. I'm looking forward to, I'm looking forward to being there this year. As I said, it was unfortunate I couldn't get there, and I would have gone online, I think, if it had been available. So that's why I think the online aspect, because you never know what's going to happen to you. I mean, life for everyone is so crazy at the moment, and someone's car might break down, or, there's an emergency. And what with it being just a one-dayer, it's great that you're offering the online.
And we couldn't do the day at all without the support of Lucellin and Mersey Raw. They are our main sponsors. So a
Oh,
big shout out to them. Lucellin's antiseptic skincare is just phenomenal. We spoke about that last year, I think, as well.
no, I
Really,
love lucillin. It's very clever because it harnesses, it's a natural antiseptic, isn't it, Caroline? Harnessing a white blood cell called hypochlorous that actually, so it's kind of synthetic, but it's using a natural resource to provide the solution. I think I'm right in saying that.
yes, essentially. Yeah. So it's entirely natural. And it kind of brings out the best of your body's own ability, really, doesn't it, in terms of skin healing, or the
Mm.
dog's bodies as well. It works on any creature, to be honest.
And humans. I mean, I think
Yeah.
actually it's even in the COVID times, it seems a long time ago now, in a funny sort of way. I think it was proved that it did actually remove any traces of COVID from your mobile phone and from your hands, so it did get that
That
CE
accolade.
approval,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, during
yeah.
the
It
pandemic.
is.
So
It is.
it
That's
did.
interesting, that, isn't it? Yeah.
It is, yeah. No, it is.
Mhm.
It is all really interesting. And then Mersey Raw. Well, obviously, I love Raw. So why is Mersey? Is it Merseyside Raw or Mersey Raw?
Mersey Raw is the company. So they were at the event last year just as delegates. They had such a fantastic time that they came up to me towards the end and they said they were just blown away by the day, and the level of organization and the energy there. And they said, we have to be with the sponsors next year. We just have to be. So I said, okay, okay, that's,
All right then.
great to know. So,
Yeah,
and they're
twist
a
my arm.
lovely, lovely company as well, a lovely company. They're
Oh
doing
wow.
lots. They've just brought out a new blended raw product. So that is rabbit and fish together, but this is rabbit and oily fish. So
Mm.
really good because it's balancing the fat side of things, because often rabbit can be quite low fat, which is great if you need that. But for those that don't, when it's added in with the oily fish, it's actually a pretty wonderful nutritional meal.
No, it's interesting actually. I mean, is it wild rabbit
It
or?
is
Mm,
wild rabbit, actually, which is, yeah, you see, it's with obviously with the raw food industry, you have the choice of wild meats or farmed meats. I mean, we do, even as people eating meat as well. But the wild meats will always have, in my experience, a better fatty acid profile because they are out there in the wild, in the true ecosystem. So
exactly,
whereas farmed
eating.
meat has a
Yeah.
different profile in terms of the macronutrients usually.
Well, you've got to feed a cow that's eaten grass,
Mm.
preferably from
Yeah.
organic land.
Yes.
And this is where, problems do occur because you mentioned the soil earlier.
Mm.
Everything comes out
Mm.
of the soil.
Mhm.
So, this is where the food chain comes into it. And obviously,
You're right.
animals that, a wild rabbit won't have had any antibiotics, hopefully.
Mhm.
um, or steroids, but we're digressing, but it's sort of throwing food for thought out there.
It's something to really bring up, I think, because I mean, I said earlier that the program that Dr. Gillian McKeith did years ago was "You are what you eat," but I think the understanding now is not just you are what you eat, but you are what you eat ate.
Yeah, I know.
You know
That's
what
so
made up
funny.
Yeah, what made up what you're eating? We need to think about the traceability now.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's so true. And I agree on oily fishes. You know, I'm a bit worried about fish generally, only because of the sea and rivers and all the rest of it. But small fish generally are much better, a better choice for
Yeah.
humans and for our pets than the tunas and the sharks that, you know, used to be really fashionable, didn't it? I remember tuna, you know, a really nice rare tuna steak was something I love to have, but I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole now. She
Mm,
laughs
mm.
hysterically. But I mean, the reason being, qualify it, mercury and toxins, because the bigger the fish, the bigger the mouth, and they're going through the sea going gulp, gulp. And as such, unfortunately, a lot of nasty stuff that unfortunately is now in the sea is in the fish. So yeah, we're a bit doomed, aren't we, Caroline? But I mustn't go on one of my downers about we're doomed. So
Well, I was very lucky to interview Veda Austin. She came over to the UK and unbelievably stayed in Devon. And I did a little happy jump and just immediately asked to interview her. And it's on my YouTube channel, which is Love, Worth and Wonder, and basically discussing the importance of water. So not just only the water that you drink, but water across the whole planet. And water, it can change it can transform to a healthier state if given the opportunity to do so. So there is a lot of hope. That's where I'm going with this, really, that we can transform if we have, as the human race seems to have done, changed things negatively. We can change things back again. There's a lot of hope.
oh no, absolutely. I mean, I mentioned on another podcast actually with Esther Logue, who you'll know from Paleo
Oh,
Ridge.
she's lovely. Yeah.
I know, we love Esther. I love Paleo Ridge. In Vancouver, they're analysing the massive benefits of bringing back humpback whales to the
Yes.
Pacific Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And whales generally, apparently, according to Attenborough, are the key to restoring our seas because their poo is basically feeding the phytoplankton. And
Mm-hmm.
they,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, they're a great muncher of the small oily fish like the herrings.
They also, the algae that is part of that whole ecosystem, without the fish like the whales, the algae isn't there in the proliferance that it should be, and the algae is taking in the carbon from the atmosphere. You
Yeah,
know, we're
exactly.
worrying about the things we're doing on the land in terms of if there is any potential climate crisis, but really the algae in the sea is the biggest taker in, more than trees, you know.
I know. Well, apparently, one load of poo from a humpback whale is the equivalent, has the effects of the equivalent of planting 10,000 trees
Yeah,
in the Amazon. So,
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it is interesting. And it's interesting
Mhm,
just to think
mhm,
that what have we done as humans over centuries? Kill all the whales. So,
mhm.
if we could just stop killing them and letting them be whales, then hopefully, I agree, the sea, of course, there's always hope, which you've got to hold on to. And the hope is that your second event is going to really rock, which I'm sure it will. And I can't wait to host it. And I shall be entertaining and informative and, yes, introduce the guests, I hope, with flair and charisma.
You will. I know you will. Yes. Yeah, you're so much fun, Anna. It's going to be really great to have you there on the day with us all.
I can't wait. So, what's the date again?
Yeah, I don't think we've mentioned that or
No, we
even
haven't. We
questions.
haven't.
We've all got far too excited.
We got too
Yeah, so it's
excited.
it's Sunday the 5th of May, and it's in Solihull at St John's Hotel in Solihull, and it's an all-day event. So it probably officially kicks off at 10, but you'll be able to get in from 9 and have a look around the stands, have a look at the products, as I mentioned, that we've bespokely chosen for the event to be there. So you can guarantee every product there does work. You know, that's why we've chosen them. So yeah, then we kind of go through the day really, but just getting more and more amazing throughout the day with the various different speakers, as I've mentioned, that are going to
And
be
people
there.
get lunch, don't they? They
Prizes.
get lunch.
So the VIPs have a special lunch with the speakers, but those tickets have sold. But the venue has lunch there for sale. I think they do like a meal deal. They do like a meal deal.
Oh, no, that's all right. No, it all
Yeah, so
sounds,
it's easy enough to have that.
yeah.
There's also loads of prizes. So
Oh,
as part of the hosting, you'll be giving away prizes throughout the day.
oh, great. We need to have a briefing on that so I know what I'm doing and when. That would be great. But I can't wait. It's making me think I should come up the night before, but we
Most
will
people
see.
are, because the hotel's great. So you can stay in the hotel, and the hotel's actually dog friendly. And what we had last time is quite a lot of people. They bought their hubbies, or their partners, and the partner was with the dog during the day while they were in the conference.
Oh,
It
that's
was like a
that's
weekend away, but they also got to go to their conference as well.
oh, well, marvelous. No, it's good. It sounds like a real family event, and I get the vibe of it already. So I'm very excited. Well done, Caroline. Honestly, this is great. And I'm really pleased that it's moved into its second one and the online edition, and it's going to be great. So thanks for updating everyone today, and can't wait. I guess, well, yes, the next time I'll see you will be on May the 5th.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as a little gift from me, if people type in this code, "My dog wants me there," into the checkout, they will get £20 off their tickets. So all your podcast fans, if you type in "My dog wants me there" at checkout, you'll get £20 off the tickets.
Brilliant. We're going to mention that in, guess what, everyone? The show notes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thanks, Caroline.
Thank you.
That's our show, Mr. Binks. What did you think? Yes, I know you're also really excited about meeting Carol Hughes in real life. And you're right, it is time for Woof of the Week. The Natural Dog Expo really is a fantastic opportunity if you're interested in delving a little bit deeper into natural healthcare for your dog. Well, I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, go on, rate and review the show wherever you tune into your podcasts. It really makes a difference. Thanks again, of course, to Caroline Griffiths for joining us today. And of course, all the links are in the show notes, along with a special discount for A Dog's Life listeners for the delegate tickets on the 5th of May. Thanks again, of course, to Mike Hansen for all the music and production as ever. And find out more about Pod People at Pod People UK. And find out more about me at Anna Webb Dogs, or on my website, where there's lots of different packages about nutrition and behaviour, or a combination of both. What's that, Mr. Binks? Yes, we will be back in your feed next Sunday. So go on, why don't you subscribe now? Because it's free, and that way you'll just never miss another show. Bye for now.
Pod People.